Housing market 2022. What can we expect? Is it still going to be a seller's market? Is it going to shift to a buyer's market? Or is it possible to have both a buyer and seller's market? Today we're going to review the cliff notes from some of the top experts in the industry. I'm also going to give you my opinion based on my work with clients in our hyperlocal market, and we're starting now. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Erica Monroe. I'm a realtor in the Bay Area and I specialize in Solano County. So what can we expect from the housing market in 2022? Is this just going to be more of the same crazy real estate market that we saw in 2021? Is it exclusively going to be a seller's market? Can we expect multiple bidding wars on every single listing? And are we going to have the same issues with supply and demand? Not enough supply to meet the demand. Projection number one, it's still going to be a seller's market. And this seems to be a unanimous projection regardless of the publication or expert. And the driving force behind this is not enough supply to meet the demand. There's just not enough housing to meet all the demand from the willing and able buyers. Part of this is some delays that we saw in new construction over the last year, whether it was supply chain issues, labor force issues. A lot of new construction was not able to keep up with the regular pace. The good news is more contractors pulled permits in the month of November than they have all year. So that signals that more inventory should be coming on market probably later in 2022. So if you are a seller feeling like maybe you missed your chance to sell in 2021, you should still have a very favorable market in 2022. For buyers, don't despair. Even though it's still projected to be a seller's market, it's supposed to be a little bit softer of a seller's market. The idea is that a little more inventory will trickle out onto the market than we had in 2021. There unfortunately is no projection for a flood of homes to hit the market, but it should be better. Inventory should be stronger than it was in 2021. And with a slightly softer seller's market, I think more current homeowners will consider putting their houses on the market and purchasing a newer or larger home. In 2021, we saw very little activity with contingent buyers, meaning a buyer who has to sell their current property in order to purchase a new home. It just wasn't seen as very competitive. That started to soften a little bit towards the end of the year, but I do think that that'll be more of a regular occurrence, just as it has been in most other markets. And hopefully that'll help increase some of the inventory in 2022. Projection number two, increased interest rates, and this is almost certainly guaranteed. The central bank has signaled for at least 3 increases over the course of 2022. Right now, interest rates are hovering somewhere around 3.125 for a conventional conforming loan. They've steadily been increasing since about October 2021. They've been what's considered volatile, so up and down, but overall on an upward trajectory. So we should be anticipating the first increase in interest rates to hit somewhere around springtime, so start of the second quarter, and they should be steadily increasing with a projection to hit about 3.6% by the end of the year. With the anticipation of interest rates increasing at the start of the second quarter, there is a projection that the first quarter of the year is going to be a buying frenzy. There are going to be a lot of buyers who want to take advantage of the lower interest rates. So again, sellers, keep that in mind. We're going to need the inventory. That'll benefit both sellers who are looking to cash out as well as buyers who need a little bit more variety to choose from. Regarding the rise in interest rate, 3.6 is still an excellent interest rate. It's still lower than what most of my clients were able to lock in 2019. So it's mirroring a more stable economy, a more normal market. The challenge is going to be we are experiencing sky-high prices right now. And projection number 3 is that prices will continue to appreciate. They're not going to appreciate at the same rate that they did in 2021. That was completely unprecedented. It's not normal, and it's definitely not sustainable. The good news is home appreciation should mirror what it has in other markets. It should still be projecting upwards. It's still considered an appreciating market, but home values are going to rise at a fraction of what they did in 2021. So folks that were anticipating home values to take a huge dive, it doesn't look like 2022 is going to be your year, even considering foreclosures. Now, we saw record low foreclosures last year because of the moratorium. And the moratorium ended around July for most areas. So the anticipation that more homes will enter into foreclosure is expected. However, it's still lower than market standards. It's still lower than it's been in previous years. So there's no projection that that's going to make a huge impact on home values. A lot of banks and lenders have been working with folks that are falling behind on payments or had to take advantage of the moratorium. A lot of those defaulted payments are just getting tacked on to the back end of the loan. So a lot of projected foreclosures may not actually be happening. And those folks that are falling behind or are entering into foreclosure proceedings may just have enough equity to be able to sell on the regular market. As we've discussed, home values appreciated so much in the last year that it may set these folks up to be able to sell on the regular market, which will help with inventory and hopefully position them so that they walk away less scathed than having to go through foreclosure proceedings. Just as we discussed last week, check out the video if you missed it, conforming loan limits in Solano County have increased significantly in 2022 to help offset the huge appreciation in home values that we experienced. So for conventional buyers, $647,000 is the maximum a lender or bank can allow you to borrow for a conforming or standard loan. And for FHA, it's hovering right around $615,000. So that should help increase the amount of house you qualify for, hopefully as long as you can meet the monthly payments, and help offset some of the challenges such as the higher interest rates and the slowly increasing home values. With higher interest rates, home values continuing to rise, and inflation, the higher cost of living that we're experiencing now, may eventually shrink the buyer pool a bit. It may also impact how much folks are willing to bid over the list price. As we discussed last year, we were seeing offers 50, 70, 100,000 over asking, which is basically unheard of in Solano County. We should see a softening of that because everybody's already at the top end of their budget. Home values are towards the top end of value with interest rates rising and just the overall cost of living. Buyers are going to have to be a little bit more conservative in their offerings, which may reduce some of the bidding wars and may allow you to get into a home closer to the listed price. If you're a seller thinking about putting your home on the market, check out my video on seller costs so you have a good understanding of what to expect. For buyers who are gearing up to purchase in 2022, check out a typical closing schedule, educate yourselves, and always feel free to reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to help.